we went from the napkin waving to her saying, "Come up to the house, we'll have a drink." So I thought to myself, this has got to be the most beautiful girl in the world. I think it's a very good idea. So I went up there, and she made a martini, and she came out in something, it was a step down. And I almost broke my neck. She came out in a transparent something or other. And this is in-house now. This is not going to...
Oh, sure.
And she said, "Why don't you have another martini, Bobby?" I said, "Okay." And she said, "By the way, she said, I know the most wonderful Swiss couple. They're such fun." I'm so dumb. I'm on my first. I was like, why don't we? No. So now, the way it wound up, I all of a sudden break out in a cold sweat. But I mean, literally, it had nothing to do with a martini or her wearing something transparent or going to bed with her. It had nothing to do with that. It's just all of a sudden I said, "I don't feel right." She said, "Well, you poor dear," and I had about 100 and God knows whatever. I had that 24-hour flu. So I never did find out, and I went to bed, and I sweated through the sheets and everything. I woke up the next morning. I felt pretty good. A friend of mine called up and said, "Hey, let's go down to the bullfights." I said, he said, "Look, get your butt ready. We're going to go down to the bullfights. There's Kurokaro's fighting. I said, "Oh, all right, okay, fine." Now, I go to the bullfights, and we go to the Sombra, and I walk over somebody wearing a Cordobés. It looks up, and it's Ava Gardner.
Wow.
And she said, "My, we certainly got well in a hurry, didn't we?" Look down. Now, I was signed up after High and the Mighty to do The Sun Also Rises at 20th Penitentiary Fox.
Right.
So now,
One that Tyrone Power
so
did.
now she is convinced that I turned her down somehow. And her sister's a Downing girl. It was a pain in the ass, but anyway. And by now she's gone to Spain, and she's fooling around with which one of the bullfighters?
Domingue.
Was it Dominguez?
Dominguez.
It was Dominguez. And I was up for the Academy Award for Written on the Wind just before this. And her sister sent her a wire saying Bob Stack is up for the Academy Award. And she wrote back saying, "I don't give a damn what he's up for. Anybody's name but his." And I had a contract with Fox where as part of the contract, I was to play, she was to play Lady Ashley, wherever the hell, Brett or whatever her name was, Lady Brett something or other. And that was, so to get out of the contract, they had to, in recasting my part, they had to recast everybody, including the director. Otherwise, they were liable to suit and call it a different motion picture, which cost them a hell of a lot of money. And guess who got the blame?
Amazing.
And I wound up on suspension, and I'm the only actor to ever won the variety poll and lost the Academy Award. And Harry Brand, when my agent went and said, "Hey, you put him on suspension, the kid's up for the Academy Award now, won the variety poll, never been wrong." Harry Brand looked him in the eye and he said, "He's not going to win." And they had their block votes, and they... So my memories of Ava Gardner are not, the most avuncular, shall we say.
Would you say that, I just flashed, you are probably the only person that I can ask about Tyrone Power, because I don't really
know him well.
You didn't know him at all.
I
No
didn't
one
know
knew
him.
him. He must have been a very elusive person. I mean,
I
Linda
didn't
Christian
know
knew him.
I met him a couple of, he seemed kind of shy in a way, as a matter of fact. I didn't know him. Linda Christian, I knew when she used to go with Flynn before she came up from Mexico. But I didn't know him. I know how he died, which was terrible.
Right.
He had an EKG, perfect heart. This idiot director had him carry Lola Brisa up the stairs 20 times Till finally he just had a massive coronary, no oxygen. He died in the way into Madrid. All these wonderful stories.
No.
Charming.
Lost in a cab.
Lost of which?
Cab got lost.
Cab got lost?
Great.
Cab got lost. He was with Ray Sebastian, the makeup artist. And Ray kept telling him which way to go, and the cabbie said, no, we're going to go this way.
He had to have been almost like the male equivalent of Ava Gardner, because he really, when you see him in the movies, he's blindingly handsome.
But Ava had a meanness about her. Because what you don't do, and I don't speak ill of the dead or the whatever, it's just that I go back to the way I was brought up, and it being a club, and you don't behave like that. You don't dump on another performer, no matter what's happened. You don't say anybody but him or her or whatever. That's something professionally you never do.
Right. Well, you know, when we were doing the show on the Rat Pack, a couple of guys who were old, as Janet goes like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
buddies of Frank's, said that that when she was with Sinatra, her nickname, because all these guys have nicknames for everybody, they called her the Man.
Yeah.
And then later on, when she would call constantly, they would say to Frank, the patient's on the phone. So she went from becoming from the man to the patient. And they said, I mean, down to the last one, they said that she could be brutal.
When she took that, was it a necklace or was it a bracelet? She took that and threw it out the window. And he scurried, he got in the elevator. Said, Jesus Christ, got in the elevator. Now, another story, which I'm going to kill, when Artie Shaw was married to her, and Frank had an overcoat on, Sinatra, and he walked up the stairs to Artie Shaw's apartment, and he started making noises. He said, I don't like what you're saying about my woman, my woman. He says, look, you skinny little bald-headed wop, let me tell you something. She was my wife. He says, you don't talk to me. I got friends. He said, let me tell you, my friends, Artie Shaw talking, are tougher than your friends. He grabbed him by the nape of the neck and threw him down the stairs. Sinatra.
And Shaw's still alive and as cantankerous as ever.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Because I think that one of the most fascinating things about Artie Shaw is that he's this almost a classic Freudian example of the man whose mother makes him hate women. You know, there are these great books.
Oh, yes,
you know
yes.
that great story where he would call his mother, she'd say, I'm going to kill myself, and he'd say, please, wait 15 minutes, I'll be over in a cab. I want to be there when you jump.
Yes, Harry Cohen, yes, for the funeral, yes. You give them what they want.
Exactly.
Everybody shows up.
But you know, he had to have been he was it in music, and I think that's why
He was
women.
it. He was the only one. When I and Judy, I never. Judy was a friend. Ida Mae Coverman called up my mother and said, "Wouldn't it be sweet if the two kids went together, if Bobby and Judy?" And Mother said, "Ida, you know, and Ida Mae, you may remember, was second in command of MGM." And she said, "You know, I don't think anyone tells Bobby who to go out with. I just think they're chums, you know." But when I took Judy out a few times, and she took me to a recording of Fantasy that Artie Shaw did. The first time they ever used French horn in a band. And he played on his takeoff chorus, his improv chorus. Now, Goodman played the same improv chorus all the time. They must have made about 10 cuts. He played a different chorus every time. He was a genius on that clarinet, man. He was really a class act.
He was, but he could never make it within the studio system because he just wouldn't.
Nonconformist, complete
Oh,
nonconformist.
totally. Well, you know, when he married Lana, he called up and he said, all right, now we're going to make a new deal. She won't be around there for a while, you know. I mean, Cheryl Crane said a really great thing. She said she once asked Lana about Artie Shaw. And Lana used to refer to him as the old bastard. She never. And she said that she told Cheryl one day she was in the house because he wanted her to iron his shirts, and she was ironing his shirts, and she looked down and she thought, "What am I doing? I'm Lana Turner. I'm ironing this bastard shirt." And she said she called Greg Boutzer.
That's funny.
I think that was the guy, Greg Boutzer.
Greg Bounce, oh, yeah.
And he said, "Leave. It's taken
Well,
care of."
Greg was her, her live-in for a long, long time.
That's right.
When she first began in the business. Greg Boutzer, oh yes, he was a stud around town, Greg. Yes, indeedy.
That's right. There's a very funny story about how Louis Mayer said, "Oh, at last she'll stay home at night. You'll marry her." But he had no idea that Greg Boutzer was more of a play around than a
God. Are we done?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
He eventually married Dana Winter, didn't he, Greg Boutzer?
Yes.